Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm excited to show you how we are going to be making a really fun, really easy holiday gift that someone gets to enjoy all year long. It's super fun. I hope you enjoy making it. It does take a little bit of time. I suggest maybe doing it in different parts, but it is something that you'll be able to do at home. You get to kind of make it your own, and again, it's something that someone gets to use all year long, not just for one time of the year. So follow along. We're going to do it in different sections. So if there's a part that you don't want to do, because you get to kind of decide what parts you want and don't want, then you can go ahead and skip and go to the next section so you can figure out how to do it. I can't wait to show you guys, and I hope you enjoy as much as I do. Let's gather all our supplies that we need for this activity. I will say there are lots and lots and lots of steps on this one. They're not very hard, just a lot of different steps. It helps to break it up over a few days, that way you don't get tired. You can also just take your time doing it. It doesn't all need to be done in one sitting. You can do it in one time, but like I said, it is a lot of steps. It does take a lot of time, and sometimes maybe we get a little bored and we don't want to finish it. So that's okay. You are going to need quite a few different things. There are different types of each of these that you can choose. So I'm just going to show you one of the ones that I have, but there are different versions that you, of course, can choose to do instead. So one thing you're going to need is you're going to need the little rectangle. And if you look closely, it has a very light gray. It looks like a kind of like a smirk and a circle. This one says wishing you an amazing year. There is one that has this gray part, but it's just blank. Either one of those. We're going to need that. You're going to need this odd little shaped thing that has fold and glue 3 times. This is going to be a pocket. You may also choose not to make this pocket, and that's okay. There's also this paper that if you want to write a little note for someone, it says my wish for you. And you can write a sweet note for someone, something you wish for them. It has a heart and then a line for you to write your name. I'm going to be doing that. You're also going to need a set of calendars. So there are different ones. This one just has the actual months, and this is all for 2024. So it has the numbers and everything, and this just has the month names. There are other ones that have the months with a picture you get to color. There's also one that has a month with the year and a blank box, which is where you can draw your own pictures. We need a paper that this is going to be to hold and put together all these pieces on. This is going to be our little calendar stand. You're going to want to get cardstock or that thick paper. You could also use scrapbook paper. This is just a normal 8.5 by 11 sheet. If you have scrapbook paper that's thick, you can cut it down to the size. Everything will fit onto this when we're making it. I also have tiny little clothespins. These are what our calendar is going to be held on with. So you can get these. I got these at the Dollar Tree, I think. It came with a bunch. You can get them on Michael's, Joann's, pretty much any craft store. They're pretty cheap. You could use normal clothespins as well if you want. I'm just using the little ones because everything is tiny, so it worked really well. You're going to want white glue today. We don't usually use white glue, but we want white glue because it's a little bit stronger. Definitely going to need scissors. Like I said, I'm doing the writing, so I'm going to use a Sharpie because I want my writing to stand out. You don't have to, you could just use a pen. You're also going to need rubber stamps or maybe even paint if you don't have any rubber stamps. So I actually have a rainbow one. It doesn't need to be rainbows. But we're going to use this to make a dandelion or the flower you blow a wish on. And we're going to be using our fingerprints. So I have this. And the last thing I think we need are something to color with. I'm choosing colored pencils just because these are a little bit tinier, so it's easier to get in with colored pencils. The other suggestion I have is markers. If you have fine tip markers, a lot easier to color in than using crayons. You can use crayons, it just may take a little bit longer. So these are all the things that you will need. Again, you may not have all these pieces, or you may only use a few of them and you may have a different version. That is fine. You can kind of mix and match and make this calendar however you would like. That's the neat thing about it, is they don't all have to be the same. Again, there are 3 different versions. I'm just going to show you this one today, but you would do the same exact thing for all 3 of these. You're going to do the same thing for the other flower. I'll show you each step. It just depends on which one you would like to make. Another thing is these little clothespins, they're super tiny as you can tell. If you would like them to stay on faster, and I think it's a little bit stronger, you can also use a glue gun. But if you don't have a glue gun, you can definitely use white glue. It's just going to take it a little bit longer for these to dry and stay on. But if you have a glue gun and you're making a lot of these, I would highly suggest you grab that for that final portion when we do it. All right, how we're going to do this today is we're going to be doing it in different chunks. That way, if you decide that you are going to go do one piece at a time over a few days, but I suggest, then you can find the part that you need to work on and do it. I'm gonna actually start, I think I'm gonna start with the coloring. So make sure that you have something to color with. Again, I'm using colored pencils. And you wanna make sure that you actually have all the different months. So there should be 3 pages. They each have 4 months on it. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Again, you could have a different version. Just make sure you have all 3 pages with the months on them. I like to color and then cut out. That's just how I do it. You could cut them all out and then color. If you're a teacher and you're doing a whole class set, you may want to print out all of this page for your whole class and cut them all at once on a paper cutter and just do 1 month at a time. It is up to you. Your choice, you get to decide. So all I'm going to be doing right now is I'm just going to be getting my colored pencils and I'm going to be coloring in just the titles. If you would like to do the background as well, you definitely can. Again, this is a calendar that you get to make. You can give it away to someone for holiday gifts, to wish them happy wishes for the rest of this new year coming up. I'm gonna do it kind of like icicles falling. I think how darker blue looks. It's kind of hard to see my blue. That's purple. That's not gonna be blue. Dark blue. My purple and my dark blue look very, very similar. So you can color in these how you want. Again, if you want to color in the background, that is something you can do. I'm not going to. I'm just going to focus on the actual months and then show you the next step. Okay, so I finished coloring all of my months. Again, you can do the backgrounds if you want to. I'm not going to. Our next step is going to be to cut these all out. You can see that there is a gray box around every single one. That is what you're going to want to cut out so they are all the same size. You can throw away the scraps when you're done. Just go ahead, follow all these gray lines, and you're going to cut these out. So when you are done, you should have 12 squares that are the same size, or about the same size, ready to do for the next step. So I've cut out all of my months. I'm just going to put them in order really quick. And I'm actually going to start with the back because that's how our calendar would go. We would end with December. So I have December. Show you up close. So this one I did gold and silver. December. November comes before then. I did stripes, different fall colors. October, I made different oranges and put little pumpkin stems on it. And September would go next. I did fall colors. Before September is going to be August. I did it so it's like a melting ice cream cone. July, did it 4th of July colors. June, did it so it's warm and sunny. May, did ombre colors, pink, red, and purple for Mother's Day. Before May comes April. Did it different spring colors. March, did different greens for St. Patrick's Day. February, did different pinks. And January goes on top, and I made it look like snow. So here are all of my months. I've put them all into order. Again, I did this because we're going to want January to be our first one and December to be our last. This is the final part of this step. This is what I need ready to finish the final product. If you're doing this in steps, this one is now done. So if you are taking a few days to work on it or you're taking your time, you can paper clip this together and put it somewhere safe because this portion is done. Our next step that I am going to work on is the writing. You may or may not be doing this. I'm going to do the writing. I want to color in this part, and I'm going to be using a Sharpie just so I can see the printing and writing. If you're not doing this part, you can go ahead and skip and go to the next section. I'm going to color my heart in red. And again, I'm just using my colored pencils. Color it in. And it says my wish for you, and it has the 3 dots, meaning I'm going to continue that sentence. I need to finish it. I'm going to write a wish for whoever I'm giving this to. So it could be my wish for you is that you get everything you want. My wish for you is that you have a wonderful year. My wish for you is happiness finds you. You get to decide, what do you want them, what do you wish for this person? You want something happy, positive. I'm going to write my wish for you is, and I don't need to do a capital because I'm continuing the sentence, is that this, and I'm doing spaces, here is the most amazing year ever. And I'm going to do an exclamation point because it's exciting. Next to this heart, when you're looking at it, there's a really light gray line. That is so you can write your name so they remember who is giving them these positive wishes. Again, you could color this background if you want to, especially with colored pencils. It's really easy. Do it on the side and just shade it. If you want to color the background, you can. I'm not going to. I'm going to cut it out now. So all you're going to do is cut on or right by this black line, and we're going to have this rectangle left over with our wish on it. And there we go. So there's my wish. It's ready. That's all I need to do for this until I assemble the final product. So again, if you're doing this in multiple steps and multiple days, this can get set aside. I'm going to put it over here with my calendar because I'm going to be putting them all together, but that way that one is done, and I'm going to move on to my next step. My next portion I'm going to work on is this little pocket. So this pocket is going to go onto my calendar holder, and it's actually going to hold all the calendars that we're not using because you're going to only need 1 month at a time. So you can either keep this pocket as is, you don't need to color it. I want to color mine, and I think I'm going to use this, it's a little bit harder. I'm going to just do some polka dots. So all I'm going to do is color, basically scribble circles onto it until they're filled in. And I'm doing all different sizes. I'm going to do different colors as well. I have not cut it out yet all the way, so you can see this shape. I'm going to be cutting this out in a second, but I kept it all together because I do want to kind of have some of my polka dots overlap or hang off a little bit. I don't want them to all be perfectly fit onto the pocket. So you can see like this one, I'm going to go over the edge. So I'm actually going to get just different colors. And again, this could be, if you're making it for someone specific, you could do something that they like. You could do colors that they like. You don't even have to decorate it. You want to do a solid color, I've done that too. I've done stripes. There are lots of different ways you can do this, flowers, whatever you feel like. Okay, so I finished the pocket. You can see that I colored it. Some of the colors went outside. That's fine. Now we're going to be cutting along the outside lines. It is going to make a weird little shape, but that's okay because we want it like that so it can make our little pocket to hold our calendars in. Make sure when you're going around that we're only doing these outside lines. As you can see, I'm going to turn my paper so it's easier to actually cut into these tiny little angles because there is an angle. We're going to go around and cut the whole outside of this pocket. Again, just follow along the line. Even that tiny little edge right here, I'm going to cut it. So now I have my shape cut out. You can see that I have these flaps, and each flap does say fold and glue because that is exactly what we're going to be doing. I want my colored part to be the outside, so I flip it over. This way it's just easier for me. And I'm going to be folding these flaps inwards or towards the back side, the side I didn't color. I like to do the rectangle first, so that big middle one, just because one, it's a little bit easier, and it does help with doing my next section. Make sure folding on the line though, and again, I want the words to go towards the back. So you can see as I'm folding how my rectangle kind of helps me fold these inside flaps into it because it kind of makes like a little barrier almost. But I'm going to fold them in, and again, making sure all my words are inside. And I want my rectangle flap to be the bottom one, and these other two flaps are going to go over it. You can see I did not do a good job folding. So I'm just going to fix it. If you did it like me and maybe you see part of the line, that's fine. Just go back over, and all you're going to do is squeeze it. When you flip it over, again, make sure that the two little flaps we folded are on top of the rectangle flap. That is important because it's going to be helping us glue down. It's just a little easier to glue. So you are going to use your white glue. Normally say dot, dot, not a lot. We are going to actually do a line of glue, just not a super thick line, a really, 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 really thin line. I'm going to do that on both sides of this rectangle, the little edges, so the small edges. And again, I don't need a ton. It's so tiny you can barely even see the line. So just a line of glue, and then I'm going to carefully fold over that flap on top of that line of glue. So I did it closer to the edge, so that way my glue wasn't everywhere, and I'm going to press it down. I'm actually pressing inside of this so it makes a little corner or pocket. If the glue gets over, it might go over the edge a little bit, and that's fine because it's white glue. You can actually stick your finger in and just kind of wipe it. Pull down the corners though because it will help it dry a little bit faster. Again, open up slowly. I don't want it closed shut. I want to be able to see inside and see those corner pockets because we're making a little pocket I want to be able to put my calendar pages into. So go ahead, you're gonna again press it down. It will take a little bit longer to dry, but that's okay because we're gonna set it aside. We're not doing it just yet. Okay, our last step of creating for this is going to be making our actual flower. And you may have the one that has the words like I do, or you may have the blank one. They both do have this circle. Do you see the light gray circle and then the light gray line? There's actually some other lines on there as well. This is to help us guide making our flower portion, so the petals are the parts that we're going to see. I'm using an ink pad, so if you don't have an ink pad, that's fine. You can also use paint. My ink pad has rainbow colors. Yours may not. You can do it all one color. You can use multiple colors. It's totally up to you. I'm actually only going to use a few colors. When you use an ink pad, you're just going to press your finger in, and you should get ink on your finger. It's going to be light. It's not going to be completely covered, but you should see the ink. You should feel it. They're kind of squishy. I'm wiping it off because I'm not sure if I'm going to use that color or not. When you're using an ink pad, you want to make sure that you also are just doing our one finger. I don't want all of them. And I'm going to be doing it just a few colors at a time. I don't want to mix my colors. You can see mine's kind of different colors because my daughter Elizabeth was helping me do this project and she decided to mix them all, and that's fine. But we are going to be doing just a few colors at a time. Again, I'm using my pointer finger. It's easier for me. You may want to use a different finger. I'm using my pointer finger because it's easy for me to control. So I'm just putting the tip of my finger. I'm not doing my whole finger. I'm not doing all my fingers. So once I have the ink on my finger, what I'm going to do is go to that middle of that circle. And I want the circle outline, that gray part, to kind of hit the middle of where my ink is on my fingertip. So it's going to kind of like cut my fingertip in half when I press it down type of deal. And I'm going to be doing this around the whole circle. So it doesn't matter where you start. And you're just going to put your fingerprint where you want it, put your finger and press it down gently and then lift it straight up. So if you're using an ink pad, you're going to see your actual fingerprints, the different lines. I want to make a flower, so I'm going to be doing the same thing, and I'm going to go around 5 times. So my fingerprints are going to overlap. As they overlap, you're going to see how it makes it a little bit darker. So I am taking my fingerprints and turning my page after each one just a little bit to make it about 5 petals. It may be a little bit more. You don't need to actually dip your finger in the ink. So you can see here's my petals. It actually looks like a flower. The middle part is definitely thicker because it has more ink on it, so it gets more saturated or more colorful. So my next step is I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to use my pointer finger again, but this time I'm going to be going in between all those little petals or the 5 ones I made with my fingertip again. I'm using a lighter color. You could use the same color, it could be a different color. Now I'm going to fill it in, so I'm going to do same exact thing, dip, put my fingertip right in between those petals, turn my page, do it again until I've gone around the whole circle. Again, you're going to notice that the colors are going to get a little bit brighter or darker where you've stamped more than once. So you can see my colors. It's hard to see that new color. It's a little bit lighter, but it is much darker in the middle, and I'm starting to get that round circle shape. I'm going to actually use the same color again. And this time I'm going to go over my original ones, but I'm going to make my finger go a little bit farther so it goes a little bit above. We're extending the flower right now is what I'm doing. You'll see it up close. So again, I'm making it circle. It's adding a little bit of color, a little bit of depth. I'm going to clean my finger off because again, I want to do different colors. I've done this with all the same color and it also works with that too. You don't have to change colors. So if you're doing the same color, that's totally fine. If you're not, I suggest wiping it off. A baby wipe works well. And now I'm going to press it into my pink. So the other ones are purple. This one's a pinkish purple. And I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing, except for this time, again, I'm going to go a little bit farther out. So I'm going over my second circle I did, but my fingertip is going a little bit farther. So it's making my flower get like a little bit bigger out. So part of my fingertip isn't really in the middle circle anymore. It's kind of expanding out and it's making it look a little bit fluffier or more like our flowers that we wish on. So I'm going to keep going around. Once you get to this part, as you can see, it starts to get a little bit darker again because I'm stamping more. So you can tell my flower is looking more round, it's fluffier looking. You can continue going if you want, so you can kind of make this as big as you want. Again, with the ink, it's going to make it a little bit softer looking like the actual flowers are. I'm going to do a little bit lighter, I think. just a little bit. And I'm filling in, I want it to be round. So my goal is to make it round. That's why I was doing the 5 and then you go in between, because you start to get this round shape. Again, I'm doing a little bit different color, but I'm just filling in. Once you get it to the size you like, you're not going to go out a little bit farther each time. You're just going to stay at that same with the rounds, your whole circle, your diameter around, and kind of just fill it in a little bit to make it a little bit more colorful, more full looking. I like doing the ink pad because it does make it look, you can see it kind of makes it look more airy looking, which is kind of what our flowers are. See how part of it's darker towards the center and then it gets lighter. And I think I'm happy with how mine is, so wiping off my fingertip because I don't want to get ink on anything else. I'm going to put this away because it is ink, so if I accidentally touch it, there's a good chance it's going to get everywhere on me. All right, so we finished the flower part. You can see that it looks whimsical. It looks like I can blow it off in the wind. I need to add my stem. That's where these lines are going to also come in. So we use that circle for the center. This bottom one, I'm going to use for my stem. I'm also going to still use that circle. You can see it a little bit better with the ink, a little. But I'm going to use that as the part where all our, I'm not even sure what they would be called, I guess seeds connect. So I'm going to use colored pencil. I've actually never done it with a colored pencil on this. I've done the marker. Marker works really, really well. I'm doing green. I'm going to make my stem. You can see I'm going to go over where I did my ink. Again, it's working. To make it stand out more, I would suggest using a marker, but it is working with this. With my ink, it has a little bit of a shimmer in it, so when I'm doing it, like you can kind of tell. It makes my colored pencil a little shimmery, which is fine. It makes it look like it actually is part of the flower and they're covering it. You're going to just color in that circle. I'm going to try to make it a little darker. You can make the stem however you would like. Again, it's up to you. So I'm pretty happy. I'm going to do something. I'm going to show you something else you can do. So this is, again, when we're using these flowers, I know you guys have probably seen them, we can blow a wish. So you can make a Y with like a line in the middle. And if you get your fingertip and you're just doing like your fingertip, I'm going to use my pinky because my fingers are a little bit bigger. I'm going to choose one of the colors I used. You can see my pinky. And I'm going to put it right on top of where that Y is with the line in the middle. And do you see how it makes it look like it's part of the flower blowing away like when we make a wish? You can do that if you want. You don't have to. You can also add grass. I'm going to add grass to mine just so it adds a little color. You could do a whole background if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm just going to do the grass and the one blowing away. You don't even have to do the one blowing away. I've done it where I didn't even do grass. It's completely up to you. You can do it how you would want. I like to do this before cutting it out because then I don't have to worry so much about staying inside the line because I'm going to cut it out. So there's mine. I think I'm pretty happy with it. And I'm going to close that, get that out of the way. I don't need it. So once you finish this part, and if it's not cut out yet, we're going to just cut out this rectangle. And again, just kind of stay on that black line or right outside of it, cut it out. And now we have finished our flower. You can see one blowing away, the grass. Makes a fun little wish. I go ahead and clean everything up, and our next / last step. Okay, so we're on our last step. We will not need scissors anymore, so you can put that away. You do need to get your white glue and your paper or your cardstock. We're gonna grab all our pieces of my pocket. It's pretty much dry. I have my flower that I just did, I have my writing, and I have my calendars that are already cut out and colored. I also need to get my little tiny clothespins. You're going to need 2. I'm going to be showing you how to do it. So our first step of this is going to be take our paper, and I'm going to be folding it in half. Okay, we want it tall and skinny like this. Mine has some bumps because I was coloring on it. But that's fine. So again, take it, we're gonna have tall and skinny. And what we're going to be doing is folding it in half, not skinny like this, but small and short. So I like to take my corners. I actually am going to fold it towards me. And an easy way to do this is line up the edges and the corners. So right here, you can see that's not lined up, but on this side, I have my corner, my side to side, and then I'm going to slide my finger up and press down just right there. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and I'm corner to corner, side to side, slide my finger up and press down. So now if I kind of press in the middle gently, you're going to see how it just kind of folds where it needs to fold, and I'm going to slide my fingers out to make a nice crease. So now I've taken my paper, it's folded in half, and now it kind of stands like a tent, which is what I want, because this is going to be able to be put on a table or somewhere and stand on its own. So I'm going to press it down again. The more you crease it, the better it will stand. And I'm going to show you how we can assemble this. There are many different ways you can do this. It can be any way you want, really. You don't have to do it the same way I'm doing. So one thing is our calendars. I like to place everything before I glue anything down so I can kind of see. So I like to put my calendar next to one of these other rectangles, so either the flower or the writing. I personally like putting it next to the flower, but that's your choice, either would work. So you can decide what side you want them on too. That's the other fun thing. It doesn't have to be on the same side. You can decide what you want. So I'm going to be putting my flower and calendar together, which means on the back side, I'm going to be doing the other two things. So I have my writing and my pocket. Again, doesn't matter what side you put them on. You get to decide, your choice. I'm going to start, the other thing, actually I forgot to show you, is the other thing is you can do just your pocket, or you can flip it and do your pocket with your wish flower. You can do your wish with your calendar. It really is up to you. I am going to start with my flat side, meaning the side that doesn't have my clothespins, because these take a little bit longer to dry. So I want to do the side that's going to be completely flat first. My clothespins are going to be going with the calendar, so I'm going to do that. That's going to be like my last step. So again, I'm going to start with the flat, so my pocket and my writing. Doesn't matter, again, any order you want. So I like to place my stuff to make sure I'm putting it in the spot I want before I actually glue it down. I'm going to start with this, and with this white glue this time we are going to do dot, dot, not a lot. So I'm putting a dot, if my glue will work, a dot in each corner, just a dot, and then I like to do one in the middle, just so that part doesn't bubble up. So you can see literally a dot, 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 not a lot. Okay, flip it over and make sure it's placed in the right spot. A nice thing about white glue is that, like, if it's a little crooked, I can kind of turn it still. Press it down. Any glue comes out the side, you can just wipe it. Now I'm going to do my pocket. Pocket's going to be a little bit different, just like last time. So again, make sure that you can slide into that corner. If you can't, stick your pinky in and just kind of slide. Mine was a little stuck, but I fixed it. So just put your pinky in or your finger and make sure you can slide. We don't want to glue this all the way shut because this is where we're going to put our calendars. That's why it says fold and glue. I'm doing it a little bit different, so I'm going to do a line of glue on each of these little sides that we folded. An easy way to do it is I like to just do the line under those words. So I'm going to turn it. You can see it's not a really thick line. I don't need it to be a blob of glue. It's a really thin line of glue. And I'm going to go under the words again, almost like I'm underlining them with my glue on all three sides. And I'm doing it under the words, like I'm underlining it, because I don't want it to go near the top of those and close my pocket up. So with this, very carefully flip it over because it is a little bit more glue. And once, kind of put it in place, and then once you get it, slide your fingers where you glued it down. And just press it down a little bit. And just pressing it. Light glue does take a little bit longer, so I like to rub it a few times, press it down. You should be able to carefully see inside of it. Don't pull it too hard because it's not dry. Press it all down. Light glue, it does make me nervous with some of this, but it's okay. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. When I'm flipping it, I am going to make sure to be careful. Again, I want to make sure that that is not glued shut because I am going to be putting calendars in it when I'm done. So very carefully flip it over. I always like to, especially with any type of glue, I like to flip it over and press the back side so nothing gets caught on my fingers and moves, but it's also getting the pressure and press down. Again, I'm going to be doing my flower and my calendar together. Just like I did before, I want to place it to make sure I like before I glue. I'm taking just one calendar piece, so just the first one, and I'm going to put my clips on, okay? That way I know where these clips are going to go. Our clips are going to always stay, but the calendar pages will change. So you can see I put mine near the edge, kind of did the best spacing I could. As long as they're pretty close, that's good. Here's how to open these if you've never done this. So there's an open end of a clothespin. It almost looks like an alligator's mouth. You see that? And then there's a closed side. So the side is shut. And I want to open it. We're going to take our pointer finger and our thumb like this, and you're going to squeeze them down, and you'll see the other side opens and the side you're squeezing closes. Okay? See? So if I squeeze, it's going to open, unsqueeze, close. So I'm just putting my fingers together, and that's how I open it. So you're going to squeeze it. So again, pointer finger, thumb, squeeze. And then I'm going to slide that paper where that open part is now, and then let go, and it will stay onto my paper. So once I figure out where I want them, I think that's good. We're going to be gluing it again. Just double check that it's where you want. I like to make sure there's some space in between. And now I'm going to do my glue on this one. Again, just dot, dot, not a lot, each corner. Really, I don't need a lot. See how quick I can go? And I did my middle one more time. Flip it over. I'm going to press it down. Spread it out. And then we're going to go on. If I got glue on it, it's fine. If the glue comes out, it's fine. Just wipe it. It will dry clear like our other glue. If it squeezes out, again, just wipe it off. It'll dry. So this part's a little bit trickier. Make sure, again, I'm checking to make sure these are where I want them and that they're on. And I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to be doing a line of glue on to the clothespin. So like I'm going to start at the bottom and go all the way up. Just very carefully. Again, it does not need to be a huge blob, just a really thin line. I'm going to do this to both of them. Normally I would do just a dot, but I want this to stay. And we're going to be opening and closing these, so I need it to be sturdy. So very carefully, I'm going to flip this over and put it where I want it. And I'm going to press down, and I'm using my whole finger almost to kind of lay it on top of this clothespin so they don't move, because they are so tiny and it's white glue, they do move easier. If you have a hot glue gun, especially if you're in a classroom, you guys are doing a lot of this, I highly suggest the hot glue gun. It will be much faster, and I feel it's a little sturdier, but you can always use normal white glue and it works just as well. So that is completely up to you. So when you're doing this, you do want to let this sit. So I'm showing it to you, but I do want to kind of let it sit because I don't want it to, I don't want those clothespins to move. So you can see my other months. What we'll do, I'm going to actually show you on another, but what you're going to do once it's dry, you're going to take those months. You see how this is another one I have, which I put the calendars in apparently when that was still lit. So don't do that. What you're going to be doing is you take your calendars and you stack them nicely. And then all you do is, we'll try it with these ones. You're going to slide it into your little pocket. This was a rainbow pocket. You can see it's a different one. And they'll all fit in there perfectly. So then what happens is, as we're going, these were not in order apparently. Once January's done, oh, you can see, this is what happens if you don't let it dry. You see how my clip moves? Once it's done, what you'll do is you're going to just press your clip. You open it, take that month off. You see these also have pictures. And I'm going to just clip my next month on top. I have a whole year's worth. So this is one of the other calendars you can do. You can also see this is one of my flowers that didn't have the words. I also didn't do the background like I told you. So this is a different kind you guys can do. They're available as well. I still have my writing in my pocket, but Again, it's your choice how you would like to do it. And that is our calendar. Again, make sure you let it glue before you do this. That's why mine's moving. That's why those are also uneven. So once you're done, you're going to go ahead and put everything away. It is done. I hope you had fun making it. Don't forget to follow along and join all the other fun activities that we do.